Shalom, and welcome to my ministry. We are in the month of IYYAR 5780, on the 13th of IYYAR, and it is May the 7th, 2020. And so we are still in the midst of the CV virus and trying to get through it as a country, and all the nations in the world trying to get through it. So this month, the month of IYYAR, is also a symbol of the ox. And the ox that ploughs carries a yoke over its shoulders. A very heavy yoke, because it's ploughing the fields. So it's a symbol of the ox that's ploughing the fields, that's carrying a yoke, a very heavy yoke. And Yeshua says not to carry that yoke. I will explain in a minute. But as we go further, I would just want to start with a word of prayer on this National Day of Prayer today, May the 7th, 2020. We enter into your courts, Yeshua, with an open heart. We enter into your courts with thanksgiving and praise. We glorify you, we praise you. We give you thanks for this day, for this season that we are in. We glorify you, we give you thanks. Jehovah Sabaoth. We enter into your courts with thanksgiving and prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. So I'm going to be reading from Matthew 11:28 to 30, Luke 24:32 to 53, and Numbers 10:6 to 14. But we'll just start off with Matthew. For all the people that are struggling, that are in fear, that are in pain, that are recovering from the virus, that are recovering from any type of sickness. Just start off with this. Yeshua said, "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light." So that is the yoke that we have to throw off and have to hand over to Yeshua. He is our burden carrier. He will carry our burdens. When we trust in him, we know that he is working behind the scenes. And he's always Jehovah Almighty Adonai Sabaoth is always working behind the scenes. We do not know what he is doing. He has his eyes upon us and he knows exactly what is going on. And in this specific season in time, we are between the Passover and Shavuot, the Pentecost. And today I think is the 26th day of the count of the Omar. So we are counting up the 50th day to get to Shavuot and Pentecost holiday. And at this moment in time, as I speak today, Yehovah Sabaoth has given a lot of people on the earth a second chance to take and to observe the Passover again this evening. It is called the second Passover. And so if we have not been able to keep the first Passover, which happened in April, in the first year of Nisan on the 14th, Yehovah, Yah, Most High, has given us all a second chance to celebrate his feast day again this evening, again or for the first time this evening. And Yah has told us in his word in Numbers 10, 6 through 14, but there were certain men who were unclean by the dead body of a man, so that they could not keep the Passover on that day. And they came before Moses and before Aaron on that day. And those men said unto him, We are unclean by the dead body of a man, wherefore are we to be kept back, so as not to take in the offering of the Lord in its appointed season among the children of Israel. And Moses said to them, Stay ye, that I may hear what Yehovah, the Lord, will command concerning you. And Yeshua spoke unto them Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, If any man of you or of your generations shall be unclean by reason of a dead body, or in a journey afar off, yet he shall keep the Passover unto the Lord. In the second month of the 14th day at dusk they shall keep it. They shall eat it with the unleavened bread and bitter herbs. And they shall leave none of it until the morning, nor break a bone thereof. According to all the statute of the Passover, they shall keep it. But the man that is clean and is not on a journey, and forbeareth to keep the Passover, that soul shall be cut off from his people, because he brought not the offering of the Lord in its appointed season. That man shall bear his sin. And if a stranger shall sojourn among you, and will keep the Passover unto the Lord, according to the statute of the Passover, and according to the ordinance thereof, so shall he do. He shall have one statute, both for the stranger and for him that is born in the land. So that is what the Passover commandments were about. From Yehovah Sabaoth, he gave everybody a second chance, and that second chance is starting today, this evening, as the sun goes down, to take the Passover, to honor Yah. It is called the second Passover, if you were unable to keep the first. So I think that's just such a wonderful, wonderful, a second chance that Yah has given us, all the world, a second chance to keep the Passover. But more importantly, in this season that we are going through, in this season between Passover, the first Passover and this and 14, going through and leading us to Shavuot, the next feast of Yeshua, Yah. And also, so the Passover, when Yeshua had risen from the dead, and he was walking along the road, and he spoke these words in Luke 24, 32 to 53. As they said to one another, "Didn't our heart burn within us while he was speaking with us on the road, while he was explaining the scriptures to us?" And they got up that very hour and returned to Jerusalem. They found the 11 and others with them gathered together, saying, "The Lord is risen indeed. He has appeared to Simon." Then they began telling about the events on the road and how he became recognized by them in the breaking of the matzah, the unleavened bread. While they were speaking of these things, Yeshua himself stood in the midst of them and said, "Shalom Aleichem, peace be with you." In the midst of them he said, but they were startled and terrified, thinking they were seeing a ghost. Then he said to them, "Why are you so shaken? And why do doubts arise in your heart? Look at my hands and my feet. It is I myself. Touch me and see, for a spirit doesn't have flesh and bones, as you see I have." And when he had said this, he showed them his hands and his feet. But while they were still in disbelief due to joy and wonder, he said to them, "Do you have anything to eat here?" They gave him a piece of boiled fish, and he took it and ate it in their presence. Then he said to them, "These are my words which I spoke to you while I was still with you. Everything written concerning me in the Torah of Moses," the first books of the Bible, the Torah of Moses, "and the prophets and the Psalms must be fulfilled. These are my words which I spoke to you while I was still with you. Everything written concerning me in the Torah of Moses and the prophets and the Psalms must be fulfilled." Then he opened their minds to understand the scriptures. So their eyes were opened and they understood the scriptures after Yeshua had said this to them. And he said to them, "So it is written that the Messiah is to suffer and to rise from the dead on the third day, and that repentance for the removal of sins is to be proclaimed in his name to all the nations, beginning from Jerusalem. You are witnesses of these things, and behold, I am sending the promise of my Father upon you, but you are to stay in the city until you are clothed with power from on high." So they are to be given the garments of power from on high. Then Yeshua led them out as far as Bethany, and he lifted up his hands and blessed them. So what he did, he gave the Aaronic blessing. The Aaronic blessing. That is what he gave. He lifted up his hands and blessed them. And while blessing them, he departed from them and was taken up into heaven. After worshiping him, they returned to Jerusalem with great joy, and they were continually in the temple, praising Adonai, Yehovah Sabaoth, the Most High. Yeshua, our Prince of Peace, our one and only Prince of Peace, who can get us through, carry us through this heavy, laden burden that so many people are carrying at this time, to get us through, to reach us and get us all the way through to Shavuot, the next wonderful feast that Yah has prepared for us and has asked us to keep, which starts May the 28th and culminates on the 31st of May 2020. On Yah's calendar, it is the month of Sivan, the 31st of April, the 31st of May, the month of Sivan. It is the 50th count of the Omar, and it is the 8th of Sivan. Sorry about that. So, we are just in a wonderful time at this moment, a wonderful season that we must pay attention to. And I hope and pray that this has blessed you. And I ask for prayers for the state of Israel, for the peace of Jerusalem, for the United States of America, for the peace of Yah over this land, for the peace of America, for the return to Yehovah Sabaoth, our most holy Adonai, through our Redeemer, Yeshua the Prince of Peace. I ask for prayers continually for America, for our trying time, through all the nations as well, for all the nations in the world, that they may all turn to Yah and realize that He loves us, that He has put His name upon us all. And with this prayer, He has put His name on us. May the Lord bless you, and may the Lord keep you. May the Lord lift up His face upon you and give His countenance upon you and give you His peace, His shalom. In His holy, most holy name, Ayeh Asher Ayeh, I am that I am. Thank you for listening, and I really hope and pray that this has blessed you. Thank you. Shalom.